It's going to take a little longer than I expected. I'm going to excuse the jury. I'll stay here in the courtroom with the lawyers and we'll work on this issue. I'll have the bailiff take you out. Please stick around. Don't go too far away. It shouldn't take too long.
Rise before.
We're going to see. All right. In our sidebar conversation, I'm not getting a very specific statement about what this witness would say or what's anticipated he would say. So let's do a little trial run on that. Let's see where it goes.
Sure.
So we're going to ask some questions. This is like a trial run. We're going to, but again, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just honest answers, right? So just give an honest answer. We're just going to do a little trial run so I can hear what the nature of this testimony is. All right, go ahead.
And just I reviewed the transcript, so I will correct myself a little bit. Mr. Wisdom, did you have a conversation with Mr. Kelly about prior instances of people on his property?
Yes.
And do you remember how long ago that was?
It's been 2 years.
2 years ago? And I think your transcript indicates 2 to 3 years ago. Would that be about right?
Yes.
And that conversation was about what?
He had called me up and told me that there was a group of heading back into Mexico. And he had fired a shot up in the air. And told me I should probably go check my fences and make sure they didn't get cut.
And did you tell him anything about being careful about that?
Yes, I did.
Tell the court what you mean by be careful about that.
For shooting, up in the air. Could be dangerous for him.
And did he ever indicate to you that he patrolled his area with an AK-47? He never told you that?
No.
We'll withdraw that kind of question, Your Honor. That won't be asked. But the first part clearly is 404B. We motioned this in a pretrial motion. This is clearly indicative of a pattern by the defendant here. This eerily relates to this incident, shooting at people heading south on his property. Shooting in the air, shooting his weapon in the air, similar to what's going on here.
And Judge, I think we already pretty extensively briefed the issue, so we're just sticking with our objection.
We'll say it again here in open court.
It's very long ago in time that this is alleged to have taken place. It's not clear, we can tell from the witness that he had a conversation with Mr. Kelly about this. It's not clear when the incident actually took place that Mr. Kelly is allegedly talking about. And it's not clear again how many shots, it's not clear if people were armed or not armed. And this witness just doesn't know. There's insufficient information for that to be probative. And we think the prejudicial effect outweighs the probative value of that evidence, and that it could be used as propensity, which is not permissible. So for those reasons, we object.
So, thank you. It's unclear to the court what the foundation is, or if there's foundation as to not when the telephone call occurred or the conversation occurred, but when the subject alleged incident occurred. That's important to the court's analysis under 404B.
Well, let me ask, Mr. Wisdom, did Mr. Kelly give you any indication of when this happened in time?
I don't know if it happened that day.
Was it close in proximate time to when he called you?
Yes.
So it's close in time to the phone call.
Right.
And I don't think there's foundation for that. I think the witnesses being agreeable, but how does
Do
he?
you want to argue the witness?
Sure. You're saying that you and Mr. Kelly had a conversation, and that was what, you said that conversation took place 2 or 3 years ago, is that what you said?
Yes.
And in the conversation, Mr. Kelly told you something about firing a weapon into the air, right?
Right.
Did he tell you when he fired that weapon into the air?
No,
Did he give you any information about when that took place at all?
no. I think it was that day he called me.
What you think it was that day? Did
Right.
Mr. Kelly tell you it was that day?
Well, I figured it was that day because he told me to go check my fences to make sure they didn't get cut.
So that's the only reason you had to believe that that took place on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute, Your Honor.
I think we got the information.
Anything else?
And clearly, Your Honor, he's indicating the time, proximity, when he received the phone call. Mr. Kelly tells him to go check his fence line, so that gives you also an inference that happened upon that day, hence the phone call to Mr. Wisdom.
All right. This issue is governed by Rule 404B of the Arizona Rules of Evidence, which provides in subsection 1, except as otherwise provided in Rule 404C, evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts is not admissible to prove the character of a person in order to show action in conformity therewith. Subsection 2, permitted uses. This evidence, however, may be admissible for other purposes such as proof of motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, or absence of mistake or accident. The court is mindful that we've had hearings on these conversations and related conversations, some of which are memorialized in text messages, and I've ruled on the text messages. I've ruled that some of those text messages are admissible, but I did it on the basis primarily that it showed preparation by the defendant for what is alleged to have occurred in this case. But all those text messages that the court allowed to be, or will allow to be introduced with proper foundation were very proximate in time to the alleged event in this case, within days or within, I think, 30 days or so, probably less. And the court would admit those text messages on the basis that it would tend to show and be probative of the defendant's preparation for the events that occurred, but also mindful, of course, of Rule 403. These incidents are alleged to have occurred about 2 or 3 years prior to this alleged incident, so the basis upon which the court admitted those other text messages is not present here. It can't show preparation for this. It doesn't tend to strongly show preparation for what's alleged to have occurred here because it happened 2 or 3 years prior. It's prejudicial in that it really what it tends to show, and what the court infers it is being offered to show, is that this defendant has a propensity for violence and willing to use violence on his property, even if it's just a warrant. Also, under Rule 403, the court excludes this evidence, finding that its probative value, which is minimal given the lack of proximity in time to the events that occurred. The court may exclude relevant evidence if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of one or more of the following: unfair prejudice, confusing the issues, misleading the jury, undue delay, wasting time, and needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. I think this evidence would tend to be used by the jury to show, if they would use it for such, but they would use it to try to infer that Mr. Kelly has a certain propensity for being willing to use violence in these situations, and that's an improper use. I appreciate very much, Mr. Jetty, bringing this to the court's attention out of the presence of the jury, but for that reason, the objection is sustained. You can bring back the jury. Mr. Potter.
Please rise before.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. We resolved the issue. We're ready to go forward. Mr. Jetty, whenever you're ready to continue.
Mr. Wisdom, I think I forgot to ask you, how big is your property?
Occupied about maybe 2,000 acres.
2,000, do you have, it's a big piece of property, do you have any hands, any help?
I have friends that help me out.
Okay, and that's where your 36 cows, 36 head graze is on your 2,000 acres?
Yes.
Let me ask you, do you patrol your area? Do you walk your 2,000 acres?
No.
ATV, horseback?
I used to ride on horseback.
Do you go out on your property though, often?
Yes.
And do you carry any weapons when you go out?
No.
You don't carry any guns?
Yes, sir.
Are you afraid?
I just don't take them with me.
And this is always a personal question, Mr. Wisdom, but can I just ask you how old you are?
73.
73. And in your time, have you always owned that 2,000 acres? I mean,
I don't own it, I lease it.
lease it. And how long have you been in that area leasing 2,000 acres?
19 years.
19 years. And do you see a lot of people coming on your property?
No, not usually.
I'm talking about migrants from Mexico.
No. I used to see them quite often, but not so much anymore.
When did that stop? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. And when they came on your property, were you afraid?
I just go the other way.
Go the other way? Do you call in, you report it?
Pardon me?
Do you report it, seeing people on your property?
I have.
And you report that to which agency?
Border Patrol.
Border Patrol. Have you ever, for you, have you ever used a weapon to scare anyone off your property?
No.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Why would I?
Why wouldn't you?
Objection, relevance.
Stay.
That's all the questions I have, Your
Cross-examination.
You lease property that is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. The property that you lease, is that at least some of it adjacent to Mr. Kelly's property?
Yes.
And you've known Mr. Kelly, and you've known him for a long time, right?
Yes.
And you've known his wife Wanda for a long time also, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Does Mr. Kelly sometimes contact you to let you know that fences have been cut?
No, not usually, no.
Does he sometimes let you know that fences have been cut?
No,
He doesn't let you know about fences being cut?
no.
Okay. Have your fences ever been cut?
Oh, yes.
How frequently? Is that something that happens pretty often out there?
It used to happen more than it does now.
Okay. And when your fences do get cut, that can cause problems because your cattle can get out, right?
Right,
And then you have to go out and make repairs to your fences, correct? And so is it pretty standard for you to check on your fences pretty regularly?
usually if I see some cows that are out, that are up there in the village in Keno Springs, then I go check to see where they came through.
Okay. And it wouldn't be unusual for somebody, maybe who has a smaller piece of property, to go check on fences pretty regularly, right?
Yes,
To make sure that they haven't been cut, right?
right.
And I think we want to just make it clear, you don't live on this property that you're leasing, is that
No.
correct?
No,
So Mr. Kelly lives out there, right?
yes,
You lease property that's adjacent to Mr. Kelly, right?
yes,
And you live somewhere else, right?
right.
Do you live near Keno Springs or more near Rio Rico?
Keno Springs,
Keno Springs, but near the Little Red Schoolhouse?
right.
Okay. Have you ever seen people on your property, illegal aliens on your property? That's something you've seen, correct?
Yes,
And I'm assuming most of the people you see probably don't have weapons, correct?
I've seen them with weapons.
Most of them probably don't, right?
Yeah,
You have seen people with weapons, correct?
yes,
How often have you seen people with weapons on your property?
several times.
Several times. How big of a group did you see on your property on those several times when you saw people with weapons?
How big of a what?
Of a group, how many people did you see?
Oh, it could be 3 to 10 to 12 people.
You've seen groups from 3 to 10 to 12 people on your property?
Yeah.
And those groups that you've observed, you've seen some of those people to be carrying weapons?
Yes, I've seen weapons.
What kind of weapons did you see, if you
I
can
don't know
tell?
what they were.
Were they rifles or handguns?
Rifles,
Rifles? And you've seen that on at least 3 different occasions?
yes.
Okay. Did you observe anything else about these groups who were carrying rifles on your property?
No,
Were they carrying anything else?
they had backpacks on.
Were they large backpacks?
Yes.
Okay. And were these men in these groups that you observed?
Pardon me?
Men you saw in the groups?
Men?
Were they men?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured they were probably carrying drugs.
And why did you figure they were probably carrying drugs?
They wouldn't have no other reason to be going through there
Right?
carrying backpacks.
Were they wearing camouflage? Do you recall?
I've seen them camouflaged, but most of the time dressed in black.
You normally see groups dressed in black when you see people carrying rifles. Could you tell, and if you can't tell, let us know, but were you able to tell how many members in the group had rifles? Was it all of them, some of them, or something different?
I don't think all of them are carrying rifles.
You don't think all of them carried rifles?
Like I said, if I saw them like that, I'd turn around and I'd go a different direction.
Makes sense. Those groups, when you did have those several encounters that you're talking about, were you out by yourself on that property?
Yes,
In a vehicle or on foot or on horseback?
vehicle
Vehicle?
and on horseback.
So on different occasions, you've been out there either in a vehicle or on horseback, and you've seen groups of armed men?
That's what he said before, so he didn't repeat it. Just ask
Sorry.
another question.
When you say they're wearing black, were all members of the group wearing black, to your recollection?
That I can remember, yes.
Okay. Did you report these instances to Border Patrol? When you-
Yes,
Those 3 instances you reported to Border Patrol?
right.
Do you recall how quickly Border Patrol was able to respond?
Fairly quickly,
How quick is fairly quickly?
within 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, so 10 to 20 minutes. Were they able to apprehend any of these people as far as you are aware?
I'm not aware if they apprehended him or not.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Be direct.
Real briefly.
Mr. Wisdom, you talked about backpacks. You saw backpacks. How far back in time was that? How long ago?
It's been a couple of years.
A little while ago, right?
Yeah,
When we're talking about backpacks, we talking about the ones that kids wear to school, or are we talking about a different size backpack?
bigger backpacks.
Can you describe what a backpack that looks like?
I'd say it's probably about 3 feet long and maybe a couple of feet wide.
Pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And you said the people that you saw with those kind of backpacks, and some of them had weapons. I think that was your testimony. They were all wearing black.
Yes.
I didn't ask you this, but do you see Mr. Kelly in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Where is he sitting?
Over there behind you.
Behind me, right behind me. Is he sitting at defense counsel table?
Yes.
Your Honor, can the record reflect the witnesses identified Mr. Kelly?
So ordered.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness from any of the jurors? Seeing none, will this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State and cause, next witness.
State calls Deputy Monreal.
Please, sir, step up.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Thank you, Your Honor. And could I have them, sir? Good morning. Could you please tell the jury your full name and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Good morning. My first name is David. Last name is Monreal, Monreal. Additional Fabian, Fabian.
And are you a deputy with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I'm a deputy with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. My badge number is 191.
And Deputy Monreal, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
I've been employed with the Sheriff's Office for over 6 years.
And could you tell us, have you spent your whole career at the Sheriff's Department?
My whole career has been with the Sheriff's Department. It's been 5 years, consisted of a detention center. I did 5 years, and the year and a half approximately has been with the deputy side.
So you were a detention officer in our jail here for 5 years, and then for a year and a half you've been a deputy.
Yes, correct.
Could you just tell the jury a little bit about your training and experience?
My training experience, when I started at detention, it was back in 2017, June 24th. Went to the academy, which is Coda Academy Tucson, graduated from the academy. I then spent those 5 years at the detention center where I was going to trainings, various trainings on how to deal with inmates, interact with people. Then was also a supervisor in the year of 2019. I became a corporal supervisor where I have more training. I was sent to trainings for how to communicate with staff. Then after that, I became an interim sergeant for the year of 2021. After that, I went to the academy for the deputy patrol side. I went to the academy in 2022. I went to the academy of June 25th. July 25th of 2022, I went to the academy in Cochise County, where I graduated December 8th of 2022, where various trainings from defensive tactics, interacting with people, domestic violence, how to interact, how to talk. And from there, the training, when I graduated, I was placed in a 3-month training here at the sheriff's office with different trainers, where it became 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, and then 2 weeks as well. I was trained by 3 different officers during the course when this incident happened.
Was your training complete, or were you still on training at the time of this incident?
I was still in training. It was my phase 3. It was phase 3 approximate. I was in the streets 7 to 8 weeks. I was still in training. My 7 to 8.
And so on January 30th of 2023, who was your field training officer?
My field training officer was Deputy Arlette Cabrera, batch number 139.
And when you're on your field training, does that deputy, that field training officer, do they shadow you the whole time?
The whole time, she's always next to me. I cannot leave her side. If there's a call I'm responding to, she's next to me. I cannot leave her sight. She's always there to me.
And were you riding together in a vehicle?
Yes, we're riding together.
Now, on January 30th of 2023, did you and your field training officer get dispatched to a call?
Yes, we did.
And was that at 100 Willow Cross Circle?
Yes, correct.
Do you know what time you were dispatched to that call?
Call came out approximately 14:47 hours.
And what time is that in non-military regular people time?
2:47 p.m.
So you got dispatched at 2:47. Do you know where y'all were when you got dispatched?
We're here at the sheriff's office, 2170 North Congress Drive.
And when the call was dispatched, there are calls that you go to that you turn on your lights and sirens, and then there are calls that you don't turn on your lights and sirens. Can you tell us what the difference is?
Correct, excuse me. The difference is our dispatch could dispatch to any call, such as we need assistance here, keep the peace. It could be any call that is thrown over the radio, and we'll just respond normal traffic, driving normally. But when there is an emergency alert tone, it's an approximate 2 to 3 second sound, which is kind of, you can't forget that sound, a little beep in the radio. And it makes me just, remain silent, listen to the radio, pay attention what they're going to tell you and what's going on. Once we hear that and we know where we're going, we activate our lights and sirens. And that's usually when we also drive over the speed limit, and just pay attention to traffic and what's going on and go to that emergency.
So was this a toned out call, or was this a regular call?
It was a tone-out call.
And so when you got the call, I'm assuming you turned on your lights and sirens and sped to the location, is that right?
That's correct. That's right.
All right. Were you driving, or was Deputy Cabrera?
I was driving.
And when you got toned out to the call, how long do you think it took you to get out there to Keno Springs?
Do not recall, but approximately at least 20, 30 minutes from
Okay.
here from the sheriff's office.
When you got there, what did you observe?
When I arrived there, what I observed first was 2 Border Patrol agents standing at the gate.
Were you and Deputy Cabrera the first Sheriff's Department officers to respond?
Yes, correct. Also, as well was Sergeant Julia Garcia, batch number 130, and as well Deputy Cristobal Castaneda, batch number 144.
Did they arrive at a similar time to you, or, were you together? How did that work out, if you remember?
They were right behind us.
Were there any other deputies other than the 4 of you?
No.
When the 4 of you arrived and you saw the Border Patrol agents, where were the Border Patrol agents stationed when you got there?
When I got there, they were right at the gate of the entrance of the residence.
Were they on the inside or outside?
They're outside the residence gate.
So not on the property, just outside the property?
That's correct, outside the property.
Once you arrived and you saw them there, what did y'all do?
Once we arrived, first of all, we came out of our units with our long rifles. All of our deputies had our AR rifles, which is issued by the county.
Why'd you have your rifles?
We had our rifles due to the fact the call came out that there were shots fired in the area. We were not knowing what was really going on other than shots fired in the area.
So anytime there's a shots fired call, that's how you're going to respond with your rifles?
Yes. Right.
Do you take those kind of calls seriously?
Yes.
Do you get those calls a lot?
No.
You don't get shots fired calls very often?
It's not very often since I've been out here.
Okay. And when you got out of the vehicle with your rifles, what'd you do with the Border Patrol agents?
I approached the Border Patrol agents and they briefed me on a little bit of what was going on, what they knew about.
And after you had that briefing, what'd y'all do?
After we had that briefing, that's when we decided to start to search the area.
And you say search the area, what were you looking for?
We're looking at the point, at that time, we're looking for any threats and as well for Mr. Kelly due to the fact that Border Patrol agents had told us he had left searching for himself.
So there's something called a security sweep and then there's an actual search. Would you describe this as a security sweep or a search at this point?
It was a search, basically,
A search, what are you looking for?
just looking for any subjects that have weapons, because at the time Border Patrol had told us there were armed subjects.
So isn't that what a security sweep is? Aren't you looking for
I
a
object to
danger?
Say,
And we were looking,
so-
Let me ask it again.
There's objection to sustain, so
Sure.
she's going to ask it.
I'll ask it in a different way. A security sweep, what does a security sweep entail?
well, security sweep tells, basically look as much as we can, see where we're trying to look. We're not looking under every rock, basically, or moving every pebble we could find on the floor.
Okay, but what are you looking for?
We're looking for any threat, any immediate threat. Since there were shots fired, we're looking for someone.
So what you referred to as a search, were you looking under every rock when you were doing this, what you referred to as a search?
We're looking as much where someone could hide or be or place themselves as a human being could hide behind or move around.
And were you looking for them for a reason?
We're looking for the reason of just shots fired and as the reason of they were possibly armed.
Okay. Did you describe this in your report in some way?
The search,
Yes.
I don't recall if I described it. I do believe I put a cursory search of the area.
Cursory search? Is that how you would describe it, as a cursory search?
Yes.
Can you tell me, I'm going to show you what's been admitted. Sure, get the number right. As Exhibit 114. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
This has already been admitted. Can we publish, Your Honor? Not coming up. Oh, it's over there, but just not up here? Okay, oh, good, all right. Sorry, I was waiting for that to come up on the TV screen over here, so pardon me. So, can I go on? Thank you. So, can you tell us what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 114?
This we're looking at a basically Google map picture from the residence.
And when you say the residence, is that the Kelly residence?
Yes, correct.
And I'm going to zoom it in just a little bit. Do you see on this map the area where you came in through the gate?
Yes, correct.
And can you show us, if you touch on the screen in the upper left-hand corner with that stylus that's in front of you, if you touch the upper right-hand corner, it'll give you a color. And then if you circle the area where the gates are located. Just to the north of that area on the map, do you see a different, something in that area?
Yes.
Is it possible that the gates are a little bit further north?
Yes.
Okay, so if, let me just undo that for you. Can you circle now where the gates are located? What did you do when you chatted with Border Patrol? You said there you were on the other side of the gates. How did you get into the property?
At that point, we then got off our vehicle and we opened the gate.
Okay, was the gate unlocked?
They had a chain, I believe.
And what did you do with the chain?
Just took it off, opened it, and opened the gate.
So was it just wrapped, the chain, or was it locked?
At that point, it didn't have a lock, it was just wrapped around.
Okay, and so you opened the gate at that point. Did y'all drive in?
No, at that point, we just started walking in.
Okay. And when you walked in, what did y'all do?
When we walked straight towards the residence through the road.
Okay, and so I see a dirt path on the map that's on the screen. Is that the dirt road you followed?
Yes, correct. It's going to be this road here.
And what did you do after you followed the dirt road? Where did y'all go?
We went towards back of the residence, towards this side, due to the fact we couldn't find a way, the fencing it had. We were trying to wait to jump the fence or go under the fence.
So there was actually a fence behind the house?
Yes, correct.
And that area where the magenta
Yes.
line is that you just drew? Okay. And what did you find as you walked along the fence line?
We were able to find, which looked like a ladder that was placed to able to jump the fence, which was located behind this structure. So the ladder should be located around this area.
And when you say a ladder, could you describe what that ladder structure was like over the barbed wire fence?
It's just a ladder, probably the 4 or 6 feet ladder that was placed on top of the fence. Then it had another part going down on the other side.
So it's just two regular ladders along the fence line, or is it one ladder with two pieces? Do you recall?
Do not recall.
But it was a ladder on, somehow there was a ladder structure on each side of the fence?
Correct.
And what did y'all do, were you all four together at this point?
At this point we were, since we were able to find that access to go over the fence, and all 4 went over the ladders, over the fence.
And how large was the area that was fenced in that area? Do you recall?
Do not recall, but
Did you search inside the fence line, or did you go outside that fence line?
we went outside the fence line. Once we jumped that ladder, we located another fence where we did have to go under the fence,
Okay, and so you actually went under the other
a
fence?
second fence.
Did y'all go together? Did you split up? What did you do when you were in this area?
Once we went under the second fence, we started to divide ourselves a little bit wider, try to divide and see what we could see. I did have to say with Deputy Cabrera, I could not leave her side, so it was mostly 3 searching part.
So the two of you went one way and the other 2 deputies went off in other directions?
That's correct.
Do you know what direction you and Deputy Cabrera went?
At this point, we went more of the east and then south style this time.
do you recall if you came to a dirt road? Did you go as far as the dirt road?
Yes.
You did. Did you go past the dirt road? Or did you
No.
just go to the dirt road?
We went down to the wash that is located down here, in this area.
Okay,
Into the wash. After the wash, we hit this dirt road.
okay. And how did you get from where you were down to the wash?
Where we were, we just started walking east to the depth of the search.
So you went east and then south?
Okay.
And do you know what the other deputies did? If you know.
Do not recall, they were to my left, so probably a little bit up more and around the same area.
They were to your left?
They were to my left. Right?
Okay, so if you're walking east, then that would put them north of you?
A little bit, not very far.
Okay. And so you think you all hiked around down to the wash? Did you all go that direction, or did they go different directions?
Well, it was basically most of the same direction, just a little widespread of feet apart.
Okay. And then when you came down to the wash, did you discover anything?
No, did not discover anything.
What was the brush like? Do you remember?
It was medium-sized, dry, probably knee-high.
If anything had been laying in the brush or hiding in the brush, would you have seen it if you were not right on top of it?
I'm object to,
Overall.
No, at that point, honestly, no, we're not searching really low.
You weren't searching low, but if someone had been hiding in it, would you have been able to see them?
No, honestly, no.
At any point, did you see any sign that there have been large groups of people through that area?
No,
Did you see any sign of anything?
not at the moment.
Okay. And then you said you hiked down into the wash. Did you see anything in the wash?
No, nothing.
And then you said you hiked over to the dirt road. Is that right?
Yes,
Is that like a driveway through the Kelly property?
it's like a 2-track driveway around the property.
And what did you do when you got to that driveway?
Once we got to that driveway, we decided to go back, myself, Gabriel Cuen-Buitimea, decided to go back to the residence, see if we could speak with Ms. Kelly, see if she had been in contact with Mr. Kelly, either telephone or he probably made it back to the residence.
And without telling us what she said, did you all talk to Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And then what did you do after you talked to Mrs. Kelly?
After we talked to Ms. Kelly, we then got back into our fully marked patrol unit, myself and Deputy Cabrera, and drove down to the 2-track we had, came walking back to the residence.
And did you encounter anyone?
Once we drove down the 2-track, later on we encountered Sergeant Yuya Garcia.
And did Sergeant Garcia tell you that she heard something?
Yes, Sergeant Yuya Garcia stated that she had her canine down the 2-track, and to make herself drive down there to see if we could locate Mr. Kelly or the canines he was with at the time.
Sergeant Garcia was your supervisor on that occasion, is that right?
Yes, she was.
And so she directed you to head on down the driveway to see if you could find the dogs and Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
And did you do that?
Yes, we did.
And what did you observe when you drove down the road?
When I started driving down the road, I then observed the Border Patrol agents walking up the dirt road along with Mr. Kelly.
Did you see anything else with Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Kelly was carrying, well, he had his canines, and then he also was carrying a long rifle on his right arm.
You said his canines. His dogs, how many dogs?
Yeah, do I recall? I remember one. You have two.
You just recall one dog?
Yes.
Okay. And you said he was carrying something else with him? What else
Yes.
was he carrying?
He was carrying a long rifle, an AK-47.
And how was he carrying that?
He was carrying by the stock, the back part of the weapon, and the muzzle was pointing behind him.
And I see you pointing to your right shoulder. Is that the way that he was carrying it, over his right shoulder?
Yes, correct.
And did you document in your report which arm he was carrying it on?
Do not recall if I documented which arm it was.
If I showed you a copy of your report, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Yeah, press your honor. Show me what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1.6. Is that a copy of your report?
Yes.
Could you take a look and see if that refreshes your recollection?
He's right.
Okay. Has that refreshed your recollection?
Yes.
Did you document it?
Yes, I did.
And what did you document?
Documented the long rifle was on his right arm, right side.
Did you note what the long arm was? Did you note any details about it?
The details that really stand out to me was it had an approximate 34 in length inch flashlight with an orange button. It was on the right side of the firearm, long rifle, by the barrel. It was, what really standed out to me was the orange button, and that it was being held with something that looked like black duct tape.
Did you notice what kind of weapon it was?
Notice it was appeared to be an AK-47.
Did you note anything about the stock or the grip?
The stock and the grip was a dark in color wood grip, handle, and stock.
And did you notice anything about the metal?
The metal you can see is worn out, a light charcoal gray color.
After you made those observations, did you talk to Mr. Kelly while you were there on the road?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Kelly here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Would you describe what he's wearing and where he's sitting for the court, please?
He's wearing a long-sleeve, squared blue, light blue shirt. He's wearing a Levi's jacket, vest.
Before I move on from the weapon, did you note anything about whether the AK-47 had a strap or not?
Did not recall.
You don't remember? And when you chatted with Mr. Kelly, what is it that he told you happened that day?
He stated that day when I spoke with Mr. Kelly was that he had heard a gunshot.
Did he tell you where he was, first of all?
He was standing by the kitchen island in his residence.
By his kitchen island?
Yes.
And what did he tell you he observed? Where did he observe something through?
When he was standing by the kitchen island, he observed through his living room window. He had observed those 5 subjects, possibly wearing backpacks, camouflage, and possibly carrying rifles.
Did he tell you whether they were running or walking?
That they were running south, and he had also seen his horse was running back and forth in distress.
So he said there were 5 subjects. He saw them from the kitchen through the living room window, and he saw 5 subjects running south.
Correct.
Does that accurately summarize that part of the statement you just told me?
Yes.
And then, did he say if he heard anything?
He did say he had heard 1 gunshot.
What did he say he saw when he heard the gunshot?
He saw all those subjects running south,
And did he see anything else with respect to his horse?
and his horse running back and forth, startled.
And did you indicate that he said his horse was in distress?
Yes.
Does that accurately summarize that part of Mr. Kelly's statement?
Yes.
What did he say he did after he made those observations?
After he made those observations, he stated he went to his front door where he has the AK-47 and he grabbed it and walked outside.
What did he say about the AK-47 and where he keeps it?
He then made the comment when he was grabbing the AK-47 of his baby's always by the door.
Okay, does that accurately summarize what Mr. Kelly told you?
Yes.
And you said that he went outside, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Did he tell you which door he exited?
The main, by the living room door, where the gun was.
So is that on the
It's going to be on the
north side, the east side, south side?
south side of the residence.
Okay. So that house is sort of at an angle, right?
Right.
So the south side, is that also like southeast? The southeast patio door?
Yeah,
Let's go back to the map. So if this is north-south on the property, let me zoom it in for you. Can you point with using the map, using the pointer, which side of the house you believe that was? Was there a pergola out that direction? Was there a pergola on the side of the area where you thought he came out of the house? Or was it the other side of the house? Do you know what a pergola is?
No.
Gazebo?
gazebo. Cannot recall.
You don't remember?
No.
And so the area where you've just drawn the map, it looks like there's a wall around it, and that's where the front door is. Is that where you think he came out?
Yes,
You think he told you he came out the front door?
that's correct.
And did he say what he did after he came outside?
After he came outside, he just stated he followed them with his canines.
And you said a minute ago that he saw the subjects, and what did he tell you they were, what did he tell you about what he observed?
He observed the subjects that they were wearing camouflage, also backpacks, and some were carrying rifles.
Did he say they were carrying rifles, or did he say they were something else?
They were carrying rifles.
And does your report document that they were carrying rifles, or that he told you they were possibly carrying rifles?
The report does say I stated possibly.
And which is accurate?
Possibly is accurate. Right.
So he told you that he exited the residence, he saw the subjects, and they were possibly carrying rifles.
That's correct.
And you said you also remember him saying that they were carrying backpacks, is that right?
Yes.
And did you say camouflage?
Yes, correct.
Did you have information that somehow there were reports of shots fired?
All information of shots fired was the one when it came over the radio.
It got dispatched out that way?
Correct.
And so did you ask him about that?
Didn't ask him directly about the shots or
Did you ask him if the subjects shot at him?
I did ask him what he had heard and what if they had shot at him. Correct.
And how did he respond?
He responded he did not know of what direction they were shooting or if they had met other cartel members and they were doing a shootout.
Okay, so let's stop with the direction first. He told you he didn't know what direction they shot, is that right?
That's correct.
So does that accurately summarize what he said to you?
Yes.
And then you said, he said something about a shootout. Can you tell me what that was about?
It was about he didn't know if the reason why they were running or the shot was fired, if it was another rival cartel members had a conflict between each other.
Have you ever seen that happen in Keno Springs?
No.
And So he said he thought they encountered another cartel, and what did he say he thought happened?
He did believe that there were just cartel members, rivals that shot at each other and they just started running south.
And did he say that he thought they were scared from the shots?
Yes.
Does that accurately summarize what he told you?
Yes.
What did he tell you he did after he made those observations?
After I made those observations, that's when he just tried to follow the subject south with his canines.
And did he tell you how many canines or dogs he had with him?
Do not recall.
You don't remember if you documented that in your report?
Correct.
If I showed you your report, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Is it still in front of you?
Yes.
Could you take a look?
He didn't observe him. You didn't see him anymore. He wasn't able to have visual of them. He stated they probably made it south and wasn't able to see them.
So he said he never saw them again after he followed them with his dogs.
Correct.
And he said they made it south.
We don't need to repeat every time, this goes to all counsel, okay? Because you're all doing it. We don't need to repeat every time what the witnesses just testified to as a preface to the next question. Just ask the next question, right? It's not directed to somebody. It's common practice. It takes up time. It's a waste of time. Just ask the next question.
Did he tell you where he thought they made it back to?
Back south towards Mexico, the border.
Does that accurately summarize what he told you?
Yes.
Now, after you had this conversation with Mr. Kelly, did you talk to him about another officer?
I did inform him that Deputy Cristobal Castaneda, batch number 144.
You need to slow down. Sorry.
I apologize.
It's all right. You know, people get up there, they get a little nervous, very understandable, especially under the circumstances. They don't even realize how fast they're talking about you. But, so just trying to slow down.
Okay, John. I did tell him that Deputy Cristobal Castaneda, batch number 144, would be the main officer of the case, and he would be speaking with them.
So Castaneda was the main officer, is that what you said? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. That's why I'm kind of repeating what you're saying, so I'm sure I have it.
Yes, he was the main officer.
Okay, and so you told George he was going to talk to him.
Yes.
And after you told him that, what did you do next?
After that, myself and Deputy Gabriel apologies, got in our unit. That's when I asked Mr. Kelly if he needed a ride back to the residence.
And what did he say?
He stated no, that he was going to walk back with his 2 canines.
At some point later, were you contacted, does that end your investigation in this case?
Yes, at that day it was.
The next day, were you contacted by the Criminal Investigation Division?
Yes, I was the following day.
And when you were contacted by them, what did they ask you to do?
They asked me if I could describe the weapon, or if I could identify the weapon that Mr. Kelly was carrying the day, on 30th.
Did you go and look at a weapon?
Yes, I went to the sheriff's office, to the Criminal Investigations Division office, where they showed me a weapon.
And was it the right weapon?
No, it was not.
And do you remember what time that was?
Do not recall the time.
Would your report reflect what time?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to take a look?
During the day, we were asked by the Criminal Investigations Division to assist them in searching the residence for the weapon.
What time did you go out to assist with that search warrant?
Do not recall the exact time.
Would it help if you looked at your report?
Yes. It was at 11 a.m. in the morning.
And when you got out there at 11 a.m., did they ask you to look at a different weapon?
Yes, I was asked to look at a different weapon.
And where was that weapon?
That weapon was located in a room. It was found by Detective Sergeant Flores. It was located behind a door to a room, beneath a coat.
And when you looked at that weapon, what did you discover?
When I discovered and I saw that weapon, I realized it was the same weapon I had seen Mr. Kelly carrying the day before.
And could I need to show the witness a picture? Let me get the exhibit. I'm going to show you an image, State's Exhibit 34, and it's image number 4636. Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what does that item appear to be?
The item appears to be an AK-47, the weapon I had seen Mr. Kelly carrying the day before.
Is that the item you identified as the AK-47 that Mr. Kelly was carrying on January 30th of 2023?
Yes, it was.
You're going to move for admission of image number 4636 in item 34.
Just a minute, I'm trying to track it.
You want to look at the screen?
So what's the exhibit?
34, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's not photos of,
It's image number 4636. It's one item in exhibit 34. Image 4636.
that's all right, it's just not tracking again, I'm just trying to see if I can track so I can call it up by the number. But let me just get clarity if I may, this is evidence number 34,
Exhibit 34, correct.
photo of the rifle.
Correct. Image number 4636.
For this photo, marked now as 34, I would have no objection.
Right, so this is one page from, as I understand it, another exhibit, exhibit 34, without objection, page number 4636, exhibit 34 is can be disclosed.
And is that the weapon that you observed?
Yes, it was.
That's the AK-47 Mr. Kelly was handling?
Yes.
I'm going to show you another image. This is 4637.
In the same,
Yeah.
thank you.
Exhibit 34. And do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what is that item?
That's the AK-47 Mr. Kelly was carrying.
Is that the other side of it?
Yes, correct.
Move for admission of exhibit 34, item number, image 4637.
No objection.
Page 4637 from exhibit 34 is can be displayed.
And is that the other side of the weapon?
Yes, correct.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the detective to show the witness the weapon, which we have in evidence.
Just so you know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've ordered and had this particular item of evidence, it's a weapon, double-checked and triple-checked, just to make sure it has no live ammunition in it. So I'm assured that this is completely safe for display.
Detective Aiza, could you please show the witness Exhibit 10, State's Exhibit 101? And please don't do it so that it doesn't show to the jury. Deputy Monreal, do you recognize that item?
Yes.
And what is that item?
It's a AK-47 Mr. Kelly was carrying on January 30th.
You're going to move for admission of State's Exhibit 101.
May I approach the box to look inside?
Detective, could you show the defense counsel, please, without showing the jury? And I'm not sure what exchange is happening, but if there's some kind of question, we need to have it on the record. And if counsel's touching things, she needs to put on a pair of gloves.
Why don't you talk to this one? She'll have the answers, if any.
Getting identification on this in the back.
Your Honor, could we have a discussion sidebar about,
All right, let's do this. Now let's do that.
So inside the box, the black electrical tape and the flashlight that you observed that were on the flashlight?
Yes, correct.
Oh, that stays in the box.
Can you turn around so the jury can see it? And Deputy Monreal, when you looked in the box, was there also,
Sorry to interrupt.
sure,
So for obvious reasons, well, this has been admitted in evidence. For obvious reasons, we don't intend to send this back with you to the jury room, as we will with all the other exhibits. If you really need to see it, we may do it. But if you take whatever look you need to use right now, or have right now, to make sure you have a familiar with the exhibit, because it might not be available to you again.
the judge, I think, wants them to get a better look, so if you could move a little, maybe a little
Do
closer.
you have a question about the problem viewing the, hold on a second.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Your Honor,
What's
it's
your,
proper to ask a question
When-
regarding an attachment, I'm sorry, an attachment that was added onto the weapon to the gun over there.
you and the other jurors will be allowed to ask questions at the close of the witness's
Thank you.
testimony. So write it down so you don't forget. Has everyone had a chance to look at the weapon the way you want to? Yes, juror number 10.
I would appreciate some accurate measurements of the weapon.
All right, put that in a question, and we'll see if we can address it then.
Put it away.
Yeah.
All right, we can put it away. Are you done with the exhibit?
I'm not, Your Honor. I just need to show the electrical tape and the flashlight.
Okay.
Deputy, you also mentioned electrical tape and
Why
a
don't you get
flashlight?
back up here facing the witness?
You also mentioned electrical tape and a flashlight. Is that also contained in the box?
Yes, correct.
Is that the electrical tape and the flashlight you saw on the weapon in the way that it is shown in the photographs?
Yes, it was.
Could you hold that up just so that the jury can see it, please?
The back?
The bag, please.
No, no, the tape and the flashlight.
Can you flip it around? Detective Ainsa, could you maybe display that for the jury? I think some folks down here on the other end are having trouble seeing it.
May I maybe just pause right here, because I'm not sure what's in that lower question.
Yeah, why don't you go to the defense table? We're going into the lunch hour a little bit, but I would just prefer to finish this so we can put this stuff away. So, sorry about that.
May we go in the headset room?
All right, let's recess for lunch. I'm going to send the jury out. We'll stay here and keep working on any issues. You're excused for lunch. Remember the admonition of the court. We're going to recommence at 1:30 this afternoon. Please be back in the jury room slightly before 1:30.
Revise the court.
The records show that the jury is absent, and Ms. Loveland. Everyone else can have a seat. You can have a seat, stay or leave as you wish, but if you're going to stay, have a seat.
Your Honor, the envelope is still in there. Just want it removed from the plastic bag so it doesn't provoke a question what's in the envelope. We don't have it admitted yet because it's done with another witness, and it should be walked across to the jurors.
What's in the envelope?
casings.
Your Honor, that's the casings I mentioned that you said not to worry about, so I wasn't going to worry about it. We have a good faith belief that the expert who shot the weapon is going to appear tomorrow and identify those casings.
That's all that's in the bag, the casings?
No, in the bag is the flashlight and the black electrical tape, in addition to the casings.
All right,
An envelope.
'cause the casings,
They're inside an envelope.
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Can we take the
Is he-
envelope out and let them see the plastic bag?
Is the plastic bag sealed?
I'm not sure.
Let me see the plastic, where is it? I didn't see any of this stuff. I just didn't see the bag. Where is it? All right, well, a plastic bag, you know, yeah, it's not- right, okay, so the question I was asking was whether it was sealed with tape to preserve the integrity of the chain of custody evidence. I'm not seeing that on the plastic bag, so we'll just take the other little bag, little manila envelope that the casings are in, just take them out. And
I
then
don't
you
have a
can-
problem with that, Your Honor, as long as we put them back. The box itself was sealed until the court unsealed it to check to make sure that the weapon was safe for the jury, so
You wanna
that
see-
was the integrity seal, just for the record.
So, yeah, there's no integrity seal on this bag.
Correct.
So when you want to display it to the jury, you can just take the casings out, keep them separate, and then you can take the other things out of the bag. even.
Sounds fine, Judge.
It'll be even better. How's that, Ms. Waldthorne? Does
That's
that work?
exactly what I was requesting, Your Honor.
All right, done deal, then, it's 5 after 12, we'll continue at 1:30 after lunch.
Can someone
You
give,
can reseal this up if you want. Just do it.
If
Yeah.
if the detective could